Star Wars gaming at the end of 2019 was possibly at its best for the entire decade, but something happened, or rather didn't happen, at the end of 2019 involving Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and Vader Immortal, the VR series, that proved an entire part of the gaming industry completely ignored the achievements of these Star Wars games. Hey everyone, it's Andrew, and I'm talking about the Game Awards. Battlefront 2, Jedi Fallen Order, and Vader Immortal didn't make an appearance in any of the Game Awards categories, with none of these titles even being nominated. A snub from the gaming industry, even with Star Wars gaming being better than it's ever been. But why is this significant, and should you even care? Let's take a look at what happened. After Jedi Fallen Order came out, many people said it was the best, most well-rounded Star Wars title to be released in years, possibly even since LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga or the original Battlefront 2, both of which are from the mid-2000s. Fallen Order is a game that had a fantastic launch, with high acclaim received from critics and fans alike, and it's possibly the best single-player Star Wars gaming experience ever created, with many people saying it was their personal game of the year for 2019. So why didn't it even get nominated at the 2019 Game Awards? The cutoff date for a game to be eligible for the Game Awards was November 15. The Game Awards rules state that for games to be eligible for entry, they must be available for public consumption on or before November 15th. And that's the exact day Jedi Fallen Order was released, just making the cutoff. So what happened? Did the Game Awards ignore their own rules and completely snub Jedi Fallen Order? Or is there something deeper going on here? For a game to be nominated for the Game Awards, it must be selected by an international jury of over 80 global media and influencer outlets, which, according to the Game Awards website, are selected for their history of critical evaluation of video games. You can find the full jury list on the Game Awards website, but some of the more prominent ones you might recognize include IGN, GameSpot, Game Informer, GamerRanks, Funhouse, Press Start Australia, shout out to my friends over there, hey guys, how's it going? All these media outlets get to vote and choose who gets nominated. And once the games are nominated, winners are determined by a blended vote between all these media outlets, which makes up 90% of the vote, and public fan voting, which makes up 10%. The reason fans only get to vote 10% is to avoid bias, game popularity, and social media from influencing which game wins each category. So now that we know how the games are selected for the Game Awards, I still don't understand why Fallen Order wasn't nominated for any category. Did the Game Awards decide it was released too late, or is there something bigger going on here? Bit of a stretch, but I thought maybe some of the jury outlets were still salty about how EA handled the Battlefront 2 release. But there's been nothing but praise for Fallen Order and Respawn's efforts in developing the game, so I don't think this is the case. The only hope now for Fallen Order is in the 2020 Game Awards. It's possible that because it didn't make an appearance this time around, and even though it made the cutoff date, it was perhaps decided it was just too late for the game, and then possibly it'll be nominated at the next Game Awards. But that might make things difficult in terms of hype and publicity. By the time the 2020 Game Awards come around, the limelight will have shifted away from Fallen Order, and all the hype around the game will have vanished. I'm not saying people will have forgotten about the game, but you have to feel that the 2020 Game Awards will be heavily focused on games released in 2020, closer to the awards, still fresh in everyone's memories, leading them to be nominated. And the sad thing about Jedi Fallen Order missing out is that it could have been nominated for a long list of categories. You'll see the actual nominees and winners as I go through them, from Game of the Year to Action Adventure Game, Art Direction, Audio Design, Game Direction, Narrative, Performance for Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis, and Score and Music. Jedi Fallen Order was actually nominated at the Society of Composers and Lyricists for its musical score. Okay, but Fallen Order is just the start of the Star Wars Game Awards snub. There are also a couple of categories specifically for recognizing a game's ongoing support and development. The two awards recognizing this are ongoing game and community support. Star Wars Battlefront 2 did not even make an appearance in either of these categories, even though so many of the media outlets on the jury list wrote articles, made videos, and talked about the evolution of Battlefront 2 in 2019. 2019, and how it emerged from the flames like a phoenix as one of the best comeback stories in all of gaming. And that's heavily due to EA's financial support of the game, DICE's incredible job with continuing development, and the Clone Wars content. The Clone Wars saved Battlefront 2 with Geonosis, General Grievous, Obi-Wan, the large-scale game mode Capital Supremacy, co-op, instant action, and all the updates since. So why didn't Battlefront 2 even make it as a nominee? I find this confusing. The ongoing game category is awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. I think it's definitely safe to say Battlefront 2 achieved this. But one thing I noticed is that Apex Legends was nominated for this category, which is also published by EA. So I thought maybe it's a rule that two games from the same publisher can't both make the same category. And Apex Legends just came out on top over Battlefront 2 when they were considering who to nominate. But then I scrolled up the page a little. In the family game category, there's nothing but Nintendo. Nintendo published every single game that was nominated for this category. So why wasn't Battlefront 2 here? Because they ignored it. I'm sure all the other games on this list have a right to be here. I know Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fortnite, and Rainbow Six Siege all receive substantial updates and support, and I don't know too much about Final Fantasy, but there's no way any of these games are doing anything hugely different to Battlefront 2. Fortnite won this category, and the community support category had exactly the same nominees, with Destiny 2 taking the title. I think it's really disappointing not to see Battlefront 2 recognized for its resurgence and the work put into the game by DICE, but at the end of the day, it is just an award. And even though the game's continued support wasn't recognized at this specific event, the Battlefront 2 community certainly recognizes the game's positive evolution and the work that's been put into that. And another Star Wars game that was completely ignored by the Game Awards, released in 2019, possibly one of the biggest game changers in Star Wars gaming due to its technical advancements in VR, is Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR experience. This game didn't make the VR/AR game category, recognizing the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. This category was actually won by Beat Saber, a game that's clearly inspired by Star Wars and lightsabers. Cool to see No Man's Sky on this list also, which was updated in 2019 to support VR. No Man's Sky is all about space exploration, flying spaceships, and jumping to light speed. So in some way, between these two games, Star Wars did have an indirect presence at the Game Awards. And there is somewhat of a happy ending to the whole Game Awards Star Wars snub. The Player's Voice, a new award chosen completely 100% by fans. The winner is selected after 3 rounds of voting from fans, with a few games being eliminated each round. Jedi Fallen Order made it to the final round of voting, before eventually losing to Nintendo's Fire Emblem Three Houses. So no wins for Jedi Fallen Order, and barely any recognition in a year that was one of the best in history for Star Wars games. But at least when it was up to the fans, they were quick to bring Fallen Order into the limelight. So there you have it. I know lots of people have different opinions and levels of caring as to whether a game, film, TV show, or whatever it is wins an award. After all, awards are just one form of public recognition that something has value, or recognition of innovation. At the end of the day, without awards, I think video games would stand for themselves. And in this modern, evolving world, a formal awards process seems somewhat outdated. After all, recognition of a game's success, popularity, or innovation will come through in the form of social media and online community. It's up to us to recognize why we think a game is valuable or is so much fun to play. And I really do believe that gets clearly expressed online. It doesn't take an awards ceremony to tell me Jedi Fallen Order is one of the best games of the last decade. We already all know that by playing it, watching others play it, and having our own opinion. But it will be interesting to see whether or not it makes an appearance at the 2020 Game Awards. Maybe I'll make another video about it then. Why do you think there were no Star Wars games nominated at the Game Awards? Do you think some of them should have been? And do you even care about the Game Awards? Do you think any of this even matters? Let me know in the comments. And for a look back at every Star Wars game released during the 2010s, go watch one of these videos here. And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord for more Star Wars and gaming news, thoughts, ideas, GIFs, memes, all of it. And thanks for watching. watching this. My name's Andrew. I'll catch you soon. Did you like the new transition animations? Did you like them, guys? My friend Larry the Stormtrooper designed them. Thanks, Larry.
Stay bombastic.